Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to our first live Mastermind Agency Google Plus Hangout. I'm absolutely delighted to have with us today 10 of the UK's leading business experts. And over the next 90 minutes, they will be sharing with us the one strategy they believe we should all be using in the next quarter to grow our businesses. I'm going to quickly introduce our wonderful experts. You'll be able to see them along the bottom of the screen. First, we have Alex Davids. She is founder of Inside 80. She's an expert in energy and peak performance, advising entrepreneurs and corporates on how to maximize energy for a more productive, creative, and stress-free life. And I'm delighted to be one of her clients. And I'm full of energy today, I really am. Second, we've got the wonderful Emma Sargent. Give us a wave. Emma runs the Extraordinary Coaching Company, and she specialises in finding the hidden money in your business. Right, Emma? Next along, we have Grant Leboff, and he is one of the UK's leading sales and marketing experts. His first book, Sales Therapy, made Amazon top 10 on publication. His current book, Sticky Marketing, went straight to #1. And his focus is to address the massive changes that are taking place in a world of constant change. Next, we have John Richardson. John is a master at monetizing your niche. He's an advisor to the hospitality industry. Gordon Ramsay takes his advice, apparently. And the story of how he went from hacker to playing off scratch in his one-year golf challenge is currently being made into a Hollywood movie. Next, I have sitting next to me my joint venture and affiliate manager and wonderful business colleague and friend, Michelle Holmes. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Okay. Hello, I'm Michelle Holmes. I'm a relationship marketer, and what I like to do is to help my clients create connections, communication strategies, and collaborations between their businesses.
Next, we have Penny Power. Wave, Penny. There she is. Penny's one of the UK's most inspirational female entrepreneurs. She runs a wonderful mastermind group for me and some brilliant ladies. She's a published author, highly engaged and sought-after speaker. She founded eAcademy, which was the UK's first social network. And today, through Penny Power Limited, she runs a multitude of businesses, including the Digital Youth Academy. She's a government ambassador for mentorship, and I've heard that she makes the odd visit to advise some people at Buckingham Palace. But I'm sure that's top secret. Next, we have Robert Craven. We'll call him Captain Robert today, and that's with his headphones there. Robert is MD of the Directors Centre, a management consultancy for fast-growing business. He's also a mastermind leader for me. He's rated the #1 best business speaker on Wikispeaker. And he's author of multiple best-selling books. And he advises SMEs and global corporates. Next, we have Tamsen Garrie. Hi, Tamsen. Coming to us live from the West Country today. Tamsen is a coach, a mentor, and a leadership development specialist. Her first book, The Act of Attraction, is being published this year. And she will talk to you about her key process, which is really fascinating, which is vision, mindset, action. And you'll hear a lot more from her later on. Finally, we have Thomas Power. And Thomas founded eAcademy with Penny. Today he is known as Mr. Google Plus. He's an internet scout, a prolific networker, and he has more recommendations on LinkedIn than anybody else in the world. So there we have some absolutely fabulous UK business specialists. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. Now, I'm going to get straight into what our viewers are here for, which is to find out what you all believe is the one strategy they should be implementing in the next 3 months, so they have a fantastic quarter and an even more fantastic Christmas. So I'm going to hand over first to Penny Power, and Penny will have about 5 minutes to tell us what her key strategy is. Over to you, Penny.
Thanks very much, Paula. Wonderful to be amongst everyone here. I think it's no secret that I believe very strongly in the power of social capital. We grow our human capital all the time. At least I hope everybody is constantly learning and increasing that. And obviously we're always seeking financial capital in order to be able to invest and have lifestyles and also grow businesses. I think a very little considered area of a company's assets are their social capital, which is really the people around them that believe in them and want them to be successful, support them, and know that at the end of the day they've got a vision that they're aiming towards and that we can all help them to achieve that if we all believe in that. And I think what I've seen over the last 14 years of business people learning how to adapt to this social world is something that some people get it and others don't. And some people dip into networks and support others really when they need something. And then when they don't need anything, they go away and they're pretty quiet. And I think what's, you know, when we were building Academy, we saw a lot of people coming, we used to call them corporate refugees. They had a great network on LinkedIn when they were marketing director of XYZ, big corporate brand. And then they suddenly became a personal brand in their own right, and they had no network. And they had to learn how to build that network and build people around them. And those that came into these networks with this pure transactional, targeted, very controlling mindset didn't seem to do as well as those people that came in as a friend. So I think it's really all about a social mindset, a digital mindset, and increasingly an entrepreneurial mindset where you can get the skills for running business. And, you know, I met with a lady last night, Lara Morgan, who went to Cranford and made sure that her business was growing, that her skills were right. But ultimately, there's a mindset around being an entrepreneur. Which I think we all, as who sit in here, are entrepreneurs, and we're all possibly agreeing in some way with our own journeys of this sort of singleness that some people can take, not considering the fact that they have an impact on others when they actually help others and when they show interest. So Thomas, as many of us know, coined the phrase being open and random and supportive in 4 years ago, and we're really building on that and looking at this digital mindset that people have to have around connectivity, but also around entrepreneurship and understanding how to be more open with people, understanding how to accept the random, and really learn to break some of this controlling element that people have around their business plan that says, I'm only going to meet and select and filter people based on whether or not I can achieve an outcome. Technology is also within a lot of people as they start businesses something that concerns them, and there's no doubt about it that when you digitize your business, as you know, Michelle works with us a lot on our mastermind group around this. When you start to be more efficient about the use of digital, it frees you up. It allows you to connect more randomly with people. So in order to have this entrepreneurial connectivity mindset, this digital mindset, you have to be able to embrace this digital world and feel comfortable with it and find buddies and coaches, friends, whoever to help you on that journey so that you're not a master of, so that you are master of the technology and the technology doesn't create the fear. And there's no doubt about it, the more people you know, the more you connect with randomly, the more that you grow your profile, the more your business will grow. And I met Simon Dixon last night from Bank to the Future, and he said there is definitely a correlation between someone's social index and the ability to get funding, the ability to grow their business. And so I suppose my top tip was, you know, really focus on the social capital in your business over the next 3 months and see whether or not you've got enough people believing in you.
Thank you, Penny. I'd like you to give us a little bit more of your fab advice for about another minute or so, because I know that our viewers are very keen to squeeze maximum value out of Penny, because I know you've got to leave us early. So
well, I'm looking at this row of incredible experts, and I'm trying to make sure I keep within time. Well, the other thing that I am really evangelizing is that we have an amazing group of young people, a generation of people who are born digital. And when you actually sit down as parents, aunts, uncles, or even if you're fortunate enough to work with them in a business place, you find that they've got this an incredible philosophy to life, and they've grown up over the last since the 1990s, depending on when they were born, into a world that's very different to the world that we grew up in. And therefore they have a statement to the world of unconditional connecting, social behaviour, that although the media might want to focus on some of the negatives, it's really quite extraordinary the value a young person can bring to the business. So as you mentioned at the beginning, I've founded Digital Youth Academy, and this is where we're wanting to embed young people into organisations and get their voice heard, but also help them to help companies to innovate. So my other tip, because I really do believe in these young people, is start going out and listening to some young people and asking them how they could innovate your business. Because it's quite extraordinary the ideas they'll come up with if you provide the environment for them to feel that you really are interested in their opinion. So if you're resource tight, there are a generation of young people that would love to learn what you know, but equally help you to learn something.
Thank you, Penny. We will be sharing all the key learnings from this morning in some free downloads, and we'll be mailing them out to everybody that's watching. So we will make sure that you have access to Penny's wise wisdom over the next couple of weeks as well. Now, I'd like to pass on now to Mr. Robert Craven. Robert, what do you think businesses out there should be doing to really grow over the next 3 months?
Well, good morning. Hello, everyone. It's really great to be here, and it's great to be part of so many experts. That's fantastic. For me, I'm going to give you a three-parter, really. And part one, which is the strategy that I really believe in, is, and it may even seem contra what you'd expect, especially in a recession, and that's to put up your prices. Because when you put your prices up, the first thing that happens is that the people who are buying from you on price, the pond life and the scum who are always looking for the cheapest, always looking for the best, they'll just disappear, and they'll go and they'll find someone who can do the cheapest. And the thing is that if you actually look for people who are customers who always want the cheapest, they're always going to be screwing you down, they're going to be disloyal, they're not going to stay with you. So what you're really after is you're after people who are loyal, who value the value that you add. And one of the things that happens when you put your price up is, for a start, you have to be, you're challenged to actually deliver more value. So for yourself, you actually start really making stuff happen. The other thing that then happens when you put up prices is your competitors wonder what's going on. Your customers value what's going on. And in this world where most of us are actually selling a service, to commoditize it, unless you're selling ball bearings on the internet, to commoditize it is bonkers. So what you need to do is you need to try and put your prices up. And the really interesting thing, and there's a brilliant table in this marvelous book, Grow Your Service Firm. Fascinating thing is, if you put your prices up, if you've got a...
Did you see that plug, anybody?
Oh, sorry, the shameless plug. There's the shameless plug.
Oh, everybody's got to get their books out now, Robert. You started.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to show them the page. Actually, I'm actually showing them. If you have a gross profit of 30%, so you're buying for £7 and you're selling for £10, say, gross profit 30%. If you put your prices up by 10%, you can afford to lose 25% of your customers. Yeah. So you put your prices up by 10%, you can afford to lose 25% of your customers. And the point is, the customers that you lose will be those pond life and scum who aren't loyal, who aren't friendly, who are the ones who are always looking for the best price. If you put your prices down, by 10%, which would be from £10 to £9. The interesting thing that happens then is that you need to do 50% more work. 50% more work needs to be done for you just to stay level. So putting your prices up is clever, putting your prices down is dumb. Second thing I'd like to say is about really. And one of the weird things about being here today is we're talking about quick fixes. And I actually think that quick fixes don't really work. It's not about quick fixes, it's about long fix. Everyone is selling the quick fix. They're selling the get-rich-quick scheme. The actual reality is that most businesses that I work with have what I'd call 5-year-old itis. They've got 5-year-old business plans where they've got 5-year-old ideas about what their business and what the customer did 5 years ago, and everything has changed. Nothing is the same. What people buy, why they buy, how they buy has changed, and people are living on this 5-year-old model of how things really are. So what's the answer to that? I think there needs to be this big sort of twist, and my recommendation, my tactic would be a pretty straightforward one. So you've got 3 months. First thing is give yourself a month, and in that month I want you to set up and organize for yourself 60 meetings over the coming 6 weeks. So what we're actually talking about is give yourself a month to set up, line up, maybe do it even quicker, maybe even do it in 2 weeks' time. But the model is called the 66, where you go and get 60 meetings in 6 weeks. And you have meetings with existing customers, past customers, customers who wouldn't buy from you, there wouldn't be customers, be potential customers, suppliers, competitors, the whole gamut. Go out, drink coffee, eat meals, talk, have Google Hangouts and talk to people. And the amazing thing that happens is that you come across people who say, oh, I didn't know you still did that. Do you still do that? I know who you should be talking to. And we've put this 66 strategy into probably 15, 20 businesses over the last 3 or 4 months. And every single one of them has said, it is just amazing. I got a testimonial from someone yesterday who's picked up £1 million of business doing it. And the great thing about it is it was work he didn't know was there, and he'd become really, really complacent. Oh, we can send out 20,000 emails, we can use our online strategy to do it. And he'd forgotten to go out and talk to people, he'd forgotten to press flesh. That's what he'd done. So my one tip, my one sort of golden rule, apart from the long-term idea of putting your prices up, and also the other idea, which is just recognizing that quick fix is pretty unlikely. You may well need longer term fix, but if you're going to go for that something fast and powerful that hits, my advice is apply the 66 rule, the 66 campaign. Go off and get 60 meetings across 6 weeks and watch how that powerhouses, that turbocharges your business. Thank you very much.
And I know for sure that some of the members of our mastermind groups have been following Robert's strategy to the letter, and it creates incredible results, doesn't it, Robert?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's very simple approach. I've just been checking our other laptops and checking on the questions that are feeding in from people watching this Hangout. So thank you very, very much for those. For those of you who are watching our live feed, we will be answering questions live at the end of the broadcast. So please go to the bottom of the video screen and you'll see a space where you can leave comments. We've got over 800 people watching, so 800 questions. We will actually answer them all eventually. So please give us your questions and let's really maximize the time we've got with these fantastic experts. So I'd like to move on to our third speaker today. And that is Emma Sargent from the Extraordinary Coaching Company. Over to you, Emma.
Well, hello, and thank you very much. It's an absolute honour to be here, so thank you. And my strategy is something that I want to pick up actually from both Penny and... Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up? Doesn't look like you can hear me. I can see Penny on the screen. Yeah, okay, good, excellent. So I want to pick up both on what Penny is saying and also what Robert just said, and give you a strategy that actually will make sure that you can put your prices up and also get more social capital. And that is a shift in thinking in your identity as a business owner. And that will lead to a change of action. So the change in thinking that I'd like you to pay attention to is to think about being an educator. A lot of business owners don't see themselves as educators, and I wonder how many of you would think of yourselves as an educator right now. It'd be very interesting to do a little poll. And what I mean by that is someone who provides information to their customers and potential customers, information that's really useful, answers their questions, and solves their problems for free. So what's really interesting about that is that most people think you're a bit bonkers if you give away really good information for free and wonder how on earth that can help you to put your prices up, like Robert has suggested. But even though it's counterintuitive, actually that's the result that you get. And years ago, in sort of 1950s America, it was Elmer Wheeler who coined the expression, "Don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle." But actually, we need to be giving people steak, not the sizzle. Giving them sizzle just makes them feel frustrated, and we want people to have a proper experience of us and get something really worth having. And if you're interested in finding out a bit more about how come giving stuff away for free that's really good works, then I really advise you to read Robert Cialdini's Influence. You see, I haven't plugged my own book, everybody, somebody else's book. So I really recommend that you read that. So why the shift in thinking to educator, and what will happen over your next quarter? Well, there's four key things that happen if you do that. You'll attract more leads. You'll be seen as an expert in your market and increase your credibility. You'll differentiate yourself from your competitors, and you will increase your customer retention. And I just want to expand on a couple of those. The reason you're going to attract more leads is because people come to your website or give your office a ring because they have a problem. And most companies they start the sales process kind of too far down the sales process. So if, for example, I'm looking for an accountant and I don't even know where to start with accountants, and I just happen to come across your website, I'm not ready to be sold your accountancy firm. I'm ready to be sold or given information on, well, how do I even go about the process? So I need to be further back up the sales process. And if you are an accountancy firm helping me to solve the problem that I come to your website with instantly, then you're going to get my business. And so if you had a free report on your website saying, well, here are the top 10 mistakes, for example, that people make when they're looking for an accountancy firm, then that's a piece of information that's really valuable to me, and I am very likely to give my details to you. And then, of course, you've got my details, I've got the information, and you can start the business relationship with me, increasing your credibility as an expert and making me trust you. So the second thing, even providing very small even how-to bits of information, position you as an expert. And we've all made a joke about books, and I think probably everybody in this Hangout has a published book. But that instantly positions you. And any kind of knowledge, even if it is a YouTube video, if it's just a 10-page report, positions you differently and will differentiate you. And the final thing is that increasing your customer retention by educating your customers is so important. I work with a lot of businesses who, when I say to them, well, what do you do when a customer's bought from you? What do you do to keep in touch? And an example was a customer I worked with really recently who had 150 companies that they'd worked with in the past 5 years. And when I asked them how many of those companies they'd been in touch with since they bought, their reply was none. Which may shock many people, but believe me, it doesn't shock me because I hear it all the time. Now, if you think of yourself as an educator, you're going to get over the problem that a lot of my clients say to me, which is, well, what do I say when I want to keep in touch with people? I don't know what to tell them or say to them or ask them. And this is a really useful way if you think, well, how can I help them? What problem might they have that I can help solve that I can just keep in touch over time? So what sort of information is good to give away? I've talked about problems, but what you really need to do is get into the mind of your potential customer and your current customers really get in their heads and think about what all the range of problems that they've got that you can solve and all the things that they want that you can help them get, can you even give them information about how to do what you provide for themselves? For example, recently we were choosing a gardener, and we had 3 gardening firms that came, and 2 of them told us about how they could definitely solve all the hideous problems in our garden, and how that, yes, they were the people and they were the experts and this, that and the other. One of them, however, took one piece of the problems that we have, which is a particularly wild bed we have with no sun, and I won't bore you with the details, and they told us exactly what to do. They told us where to buy the mulch. They told us how to do it cheaply. They told us exactly how to do it for ourselves. So you would think, wouldn't you, that that would put them out of a job? Not a bit of it. Of course, do I want to do that myself? Of course I don't. But who got the business? Well, of course they did, because I was given a demonstration of how they knew what they were talking about, how they were experts in doing what they were doing, and how actually they were prepared to give me information without anything in return. It really, really works. So that's my top tip for the next 3 months, is see yourself as an educator and give away really great information for free so that you can build your social capital, as Penny says, and put your prices up, as Robert says.
Thank you, Emma. And we will be giving away loads of information from these 9 business experts for free over the next 10 weeks. So I'm following your advice. Thank you very much, Emma. This is a bit of an experiment, really, doing this live hangout with so many people watching. And we've got some fantastic feedback coming in from our watchers and some questions which we'll be posing at the end. Just a little point to the experts and to anybody else out there thinking about hosting hangouts like this for their own business. Mics off, please. Not too much rustling around. And we've also had lots of comments about everybody's offices and what's going on behind everybody, which is quite interesting. So that's something we might all want to think about in the future. I will now hand over to Grant, and he will be sharing his strategy with us. Over to you, Mr. Leboff.
Morning, everyone. Great to be here and be with such esteemed company. So my tip for this morning for everybody, we're living in an interesting age. We always used to get information through publication, whether we read newspapers, whether it was on television, all the information that we received was through publication. But for so many of us today, that's no longer the case. For a lot of us, we're getting a lot of our information, I mean, today is a great example, through conversation. And so what we've entered really is an era of social influence. Now, many of you might say, well, that's not really new, is it? I mean, we've talked to other people, we've listened to other people, we've asked other people for advice. But when we live in a world where everybody has a channel, whether it's a Google Hangout, whether it's YouTube, whether it's their Twitter account, whether it's their blog, when we live in a world where everybody has an opportunity to get involved, to have an opinion, and let everybody else know about that opinion, it means that we now live in a world where social influence is kind of on speed. It's gone ballistic. And what that means is when we look around, it means there are some big influencers out there, because in any network, not everybody is created equal. And when we look at influence, I'd suggest that influence comes in 2 ways. Firstly, it comes in reach. So it might be that particular people in your network or particular people in your industry have a bigger reach than others. What they say, just there's a ripple effect. It goes out to more people than anyone else. And there's also then a question of resonance. And resonance is not necessarily that I go out to a lot of people, but when I speak, people actually listen. They actually want to know what I say, and again, it has a big influence on others around me. So when we're looking at influencers, I would suggest to everybody, and I'm doing this with a lot of my clients now, that we really look at our vertical markets, whether we work in geographical locations, whether we work in market sectors, however we work, that we look at these marketplaces and we say, who are the biggest influencers around? And today there's some really, really good software to help us do that. I'm just declare no interest in this at all. I'm not on any commission or anything like that. But 3 that I'd mention just to give people a steer on this. One is called Appinions. another one called Tracker, and another one called Sock Metrics. And there are plenty of others if you were to Google influencer software. But the idea is,
okay, so I think that says public now. Alex, can you go again, please?
Sure. Can somebody remember what I said? No, I'm just kidding. Great. Thanks so much for letting me go twice. It's very, very nice of you all, and for being patient. Look, the top strategy that we are sharing with our clients at the moment is a three-part strategy. We take the approach that to have the most amount of energy you can possibly have, you really need to look at both your body, your brain, which is the structure that you put behind the way that you approach things in your life, and then your belief systems. So the belief systems includes everything that motivates you or blocks you from accomplishing what it is you want to do. So if we start first with the body, my support for everybody here is that your body is the vehicle that's going to get you to where you want it to go. Be that in your business life, your personal life. If you're physically not up to scratch, then eventually your vehicle is not going to get you where you need it to. So I'm talking about thinking differently about what you're eating, how you're exercising, how you're sleeping, even things as simple as how you sit up at your desk during the day. And my support is to try in the next 3 months leading into the end of the year to put in just one thing that you're going to do differently around your body so that your vehicle is in the best shape it can possibly be. The second thing that I want you to really look at is what we do is help people to plan their next 3 months or their lives really from an energetic perspective. And what that means is to look at, are you actually someone who is slightly faster, or are you someone who is slightly slower twitch? And how you figure that out is by knowing if you prefer naturally to work in short bursts and take little breaks, or if you prefer to work in longer periods of focus. And once you work that out, and my trick for sharing with you with how you can work that out is to go to our website, which is www.inside80performance.com, and take our free questionnaire, and it will give you an indication of which pace you are most likely to be. When you know that, you can start to plan the next 3 months of this year with understanding how often you need to take breaks and rest periods, and how long those rest periods need to be. The final thing in our 3-part plan, or my 3-part strategy for the next 3 months, is to actually implement these breaks. So do it for you, and if you can, start thinking about your team and how you can help them to implement the breaks as that are necessary for them. And what that means is a break is anything that gives you back energy. So that could be something in your work life. You may actually love working on a particular project or with a particular client. It doesn't have to be a holiday or a day off or time away. Work out what those breaks are and put them into your everyday life. Then put them into your week. Then put them into your month. And what you'll do is you'll start to get the hang of how this has to be present in your life overall, so that you can continuously renew your energy. What we typically do, and this is what I started with on my first round, is what we typically do with our energy in our lives is we run as hard as we can for as long as we can till we hit a wall. And then we get sick, we crash, we burn, we feel disconnected with our businesses, with our families, all those things. And then we spike back up and we try to go again as long as we can. My encouragement to all of you is that start looking at how you can build your energy, then recover it, and then build again to an even higher peak. And you can do this in your business life. We take a lot of our methodology out of the athletic world because they're so good at this. But what I really want you to look at is how this applies into your life and how it applies into the lives of the people that you work with. So I think I've done a much shorter version of what I started with last time, but hopefully it's hit home. So appreciate your body and the vehicle that you've got to get you where you want to do. Plan your next 3 months from an energetic perspective, and implement the breaks that are going to support you to recover your energy. And I'm more than happy to field any questions people have around this. Let's make 2013 a year where you go into it feeling amazing because you've taken care of your energy and your health right now instead of waiting until New Year's to make a resolution. Thanks, guys. I hope that's helpful.
Okay, great stuff. Second time round too. There are a number of points there that I quite desperately need to apply, not least of which is better sleep, I think. Right, I think it's me to go now. Paula has sent me a message to say this will all be, for those of you who are back on again, this will all be recorded and re-edited back through, and there'll be lots of extra value that she's going to be creating just to try and compensate for the technical glitches. And what I wanted to talk about is the concept and the process that we work with individuals and with businesses, and it's what I call the Rainmaker process. And it is to do with the concept that actually, and Native American Indians would regard the Rainmaker obviously as being the person who manages to make things really happen, to make the the rain fall, to do the rain dance and make it fall. And in organizations, people would talk about the Rainmaker being the person that brings through the big bucks, that sales guy that's really driving everything. And what we talk about within a consulting perspective is trying to step back and be the Rainmaker, be that person who can stand back and take some perspective on the business, and then go through a process of creating a formula or a jigsaw as to how the business all slots together. And this came through originally from the way that my background was in hospitality, and we worked through lots and lots of different types of hospitality businesses, but particularly within coffee shops over the period of about 10 or 15 years. Myself and my business partner created what we regard as being a formula for how you put it all together. And it started off as a very loose kind of a format based upon our own individual skill sets, and then has gradually evolved into a very coherent 7-part formula to begin with. And then beneath that, lots and lots of layers of very specific things that happen. So one part of that 7 within the business is marketing. And within marketing, we split into 3 zones in marketing in the hospitality business. And within each zone, we've got multiple ways of initially driving through new customers or within the process of the merchandising. So what we did in a very logical way over quite a long period of time was break the business right down into its constituent parts. And for those areas that we didn't feel that we had the answers for ourselves, we either found them out or we brought in experts, we brought in other people. But the process that I'm trying to get you to perhaps look at within your business over the next 3 months is seeing how you can apply that Rainmaker process into your business. So what can you step back and view the whole business, not necessarily those areas that you feel that you have the expertise in, but everything as a Rainmaker, somebody outside. There's been a very interesting Sky documentary on recently, detailing the Sky cycling team with Dave Brailsford. And he is the guy who has managed to now create us, the most staggeringly successful cycling nation that we are now, winning the Tour de France, World Championships, multiple gold medals. And it was all put together by this guy called Dave Brailsford, and he has effectively created that role. And he looked upon cycling and felt that somehow what they had to try and do was do clean cycling, remove the drugs, remove the doping. And that there's about a 15% difference between what a doping cyclist can achieve and an ordinary cyclist. So he went into trying to make incremental improvements in every single area of what they did. So he wasn't trying to get 15% from one thing, like drugs. He was trying to take little incremental steps of 1% here and there throughout the business, throughout the whole way that they worked with these cyclists. And that even went into such detail as obviously traveling everywhere with a chef with them, so that they ended up with exactly the right food and no potential concerns for things like food poisoning. They brought mattresses and pillows to every single hotel that they went to, so that the cyclists were much more guaranteed of having a good night's sleep. And so obviously some of that ties in very strongly with what Alex is saying. But they broke down every part of what it takes to become a successful cyclist and to create a successful cycling team, and ultimately then put it all back together within this model, tiny little percentage gains or fractions of a percentage gain along the way. And one of the other projects that I've worked on in the last few years is a golf project. and I work with a lot of golfers. We sell golf instructional programs on a membership site, and it's exactly the same process that we do with that as well. You break everything that you need to have down in to be a great golfer: long game, long irons, mid irons, short irons, short game, putting, sand game, and then you look into the psychological aspect of it, then you look into the fitness aspect of it, and you look into all of those areas that you can put together to create a great golfer. And Tiger Woods was an interesting aspect of this, because he came along and reinvented what the expectation was. And then you've got golfers such as Lee Westwood, who spent maybe, maybe 10 years in the wilderness there, unfit, maybe partying a bit too much, and suddenly got into the whole fitness side of it and has become obsessed with his fitness. Now, Lee Westwood has yet to win a major, which is the ultimate goal in golfers. It's effectively what Andy Murray did last night in tennis. And if you if we move slightly onto that briefly, it's effectively Ivan Lendl managed to do for Murray what we're talking about Dave Brailsford doing. He filled in one piece of that jigsaw. Lee Westwood filled in the fitness part of the jigsaw, but he's upset his balance now towards the fact that he's spending too much time in his fitness and not enough time in his short game. So whether it's sporting endeavor or whether it's a business endeavor, you have this formula within your business. And if you can step back over the next 3 months and manage the business as best as you can during that period of time, but try and break it all down, break down all these constituent parts of the formula and work out what you've got out of balance. And if your marketing's out of your balance and your financial controls are out of balance, or something's out of balance, then you either find the information yourself, you bring in experts, or you learn how to do it yourself. So that's the challenge that I would suggest over the next 3 months. Step back from the business. Stop focusing on the thing that you do well, or stop focusing on the problems within the business. Step back, view it as a rainmaker, and see what it is that you can do to make that change within the business, to make the difference, to smooth it all out, get it into balance, and then at the end of that 3 months period, you will have a new model. You'll have the pieces of the jigsaw together. So that's what I would suggest, and I hope that is of some benefit to you. Okay, next we're going to move to Tamsen, I believe.
Thank you, John. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can indeed.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. I'm also very honoured and actually quite humbled to have been invited to speak as part of this Hangout. So thank you, Paula, particularly amongst all these fantastic experts. My one strategy that I believe that every business owner should be using in their business is this, and I will explain what I mean by it. Aligning your internal and your external activity. What I actually mean by that is this. I've worked with literally hundreds of business owners in different capacities. What I've observed and also experienced in that time is that success in business, whatever that means to you, comes as a direct result of aligning internal activity, so that's what's going on in your head, with external activity. And by that I mean what you're actually doing. Because when you get what's going on in your head and what you're actually doing externally working together in tandem, that's when you get extraordinary business results. Often people say to me that they wonder why some people appear to create success with what appears to be absolute ease, whilst others appear destined to struggle. And in my experience, the business owners who struggle to achieve their goals fall into one of these three areas. Either they haven't defined their vision, and by that I mean they have no clear idea of where it is they actually want to get to. So whilst they're doing lots and lots of activity, that activity is not aligned with a specific outcome, so they don't get anywhere. Or they've defined their vision, but they haven't actually planned how they're going to get there. So again, their activity doesn't have focus, or they're just not doing it. So they've planned it and they know what they need to do, but they're not actually doing it. And then lastly, they have a plan, but they're not doing the things necessary to achieve their goals. So they're doing lots of activity, but it's not the right stuff. Often I observe that in the entrepreneurial space that there are people out there doing lots and lots of, so they're having lots of meetings with different people, they're following up with different people, they're pursuing different opportunities, looking at different options. they're doing lots of stuff, but they're telling me they're not getting anywhere. And when I ask them the question, where exactly is it that you want to be getting, often they can't tell me the answer. And for me, therein lies the first problem. So as I said at the beginning, for me, the key is to align what's going on in your head with what you're actually doing, because when you get them working together in tandem, that's when you start to create extraordinary results. Now, I call this vision, mindset, action. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I've written that up there on my whiteboard. Vision and mindset is your internal activity, so that's what's going on in here. Obviously, your vision is about what it is that you want to achieve. Mindset is really internal conditioning to enable you to achieve it. But just a note on vision. Vision has two very distinctive components for me. The first one is your intent, and intent is about what you actually want to achieve. So when I work with business owners on creating a vision, we look at what it is that they're actually aiming to achieve, and we make sure that it's very much focused on wants. A want is something that is desired but not necessarily required, whereas a need is something that's required to survive, and wants are infinitely more motivating than needs. The second thing is purpose, and that's really about why one wants to achieve it. A why, our why is incredibly motivating. So I tend to get clients to focus on why do you want to achieve these things. Often that's linked to family, friends, things that are important to them, personal values. So it's really important that a vision isn't just about what you want to achieve, but it's also about why that's important to you. The second step is also internal activity, because it's about your mindset. And that was touched on earlier on. What are the belief systems you hold? Do you believe that you can achieve it? Do you believe you deserve it? What thoughts are you having in relation to that vision? Are they supportive of your intent and your purpose? And if they're not, self-conditioning, learning how to actually make changes to the internal belief systems. The last step is action. And action is your external activity, so that's what you're doing, and that's the stuff that other people observe. So this is split into two areas. One is your behaviour, so what it is that people observe and how that means that they perceive you, and that shows up very much in your reputation, so it's about reputation management. And then the last thing is your plan of action. Now, it never ceases to amaze me how many business people fail to plan. For me, in my business experience, my greatest successes, and certainly the most consistent ones, have been as a result of having a clear vision and planning the steps that I'm going to take to achieve it. So planning is really, really important. So when you've got vision, mindset and action working together in tandem, that's when you begin to create the business that you really want, because your internal activity and your external activity are aligned, which means that there's no tension between what's going on in your head and what it is that you're actually doing out there in reality. You start to gain ground, results start to happen. This is when you begin to realise your business vision. So if there's one thing that you can do between now and the end of 2012, I'd strongly recommend getting clear about what your vision is, getting clear about what kind of mindset you need to have to be internally conditioned to ensure that you achieve that outcome. And then lastly, and if this doesn't come naturally to you, get somebody in your business to help you, planning the steps that you're going to take between now and then to make sure that this vision becomes reality. And then instead of looking back in 4 months' time and wondering why I'm not where I wanted to be, you can look back in 4 months' time and ask yourself the question, where am I going to take my business next? Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I think we were going to go to Thomas now, who seems to have been swallowed up by his chair or has left. So let's move. Is Michelle there? No? There's Thomas now. He hasn't left.
I'm back, John.
Okay, Thomas, are you ready to go? Yeah?
I am, yes. So we've had an interesting session here on Google Hangouts, and obviously it's fallen a couple of times. One of the reasons for the fall is the quality of the line of whoever creates the Hangout, or anybody on the Hangout having a weaker line. It can bring the whole thing down. These are Google. This is Google's internal server network that we're using, so it should stay up unless the person creating the account has got a weaker line. So study that. I'd like to start with the Google Plus Hangout as an issue. Now, for those of you who don't know, Google are about 10% of the way into creating Google Plus, and the reason for creating the Plus is because all of the activity that you do on Google Plus enhances your search in google.com. So the more activity you put into Google Plus, the more things you notice, the more things you share, the more things you comment on, you'll see your google.com search getting better and better. So the thing I'd like you to consider doing over the next few months is to really study Google Plus Hangouts. The reason why is because very shortly there's a new API, an application interface coming in to allow you to plug in Google Wallet into Google Hangouts, which means you'll be able to sell your time through Google Plus Hangouts. Now, I think that's a significant development because, as you've heard this morning, all the expertise you've heard from Penny and Robert and Emma and Grant and Alex and John and Tamsen and Paula, getting access to this kind of source of data and selling your knowledge online, as Emma suggested, become an educator. I think it's pretty significant that you could provide your services and your knowledge through a platform like Google Plus, have it recorded and uploaded to YouTube. All the Google Plus Hangout content is automatically uploaded to YouTube, and then when the Google Wallet plugin comes, you'll be able to sell your knowledge and information instantly the moment the recording finishes. Also, for anybody in professional services providing legal services, accounting services, tax advice, any professional services like coaching, personal coaching, life or coaching, medical advice, health advice, as we heard from Alex, providing this service online through Google Plus Hangout, recording the information and selling it is very, very significant. And I think I'd like to encourage all of you to get into using Google Plus Hangouts. The second thing I'd like you to all look at is your Clout score, K-L-O-U-T, your Clout score, and consider what your current performance is. Your typically Clout scores with people in California, where they lead the market online on the web, tend to be in the 70s and the 80s, in a few exceptions, in the 90s. Typically, the definition of an expert in terms of clout is a score of 50 or above. If you look at an organization that's recruiting now, Salesforce.com, which is a CRM system, they're now recruiting people into their sales and marketing team and their online team, and they're now requiring a minimum clout score of 35 just to come to the interview. So it is significant that your online score is becoming recognized. The other thing about your online score, your clout score, is I'm pretty sure it will start to emerge in terms of your credit rating for borrowing money, because the banks are now looking at these online measuring scores, as Grant referred to, influencer software. They're now looking at these scores to see your lending ability. So it is significant. The last thing I'd like you to get to know is, if you want to learn more about a true expert on Google+, get in touch with Thomas Morphew, M-O-R-F-F-E-W. Thomas Morphew I consider as a real expert on Google+. I want you to learn more and more about it, and he's the best person to get in touch with. So study Google+. Consider selling your knowledge and information when the Google Wallet plugin comes. Work on your clout score through tweeting and blogging and your YouTube videos. And finally, if you're looking for an expert on Google+, get in touch with Thomas Morphew. That's me. I'm out.
Great stuff. very good, interesting as ever. Right, we are now got Michelle. Is that right? I think. No, we're not going to do Michelle. We're just going to do a one-liner, a sort of a one-line roundup of your key strategy then from everybody. So we'll start logically at the end with Alex.
Hi, my one-line summary would be use the next 3 months, the last quarter of this year, to get your body and your mind and your energy as high and as focused and as energized as it can possibly be going into the next year, instead of waiting until New Year's resolution season.
Great stuff. Great stuff, thank you. Okay, Emma?
Hi, and my one strategy is to start thinking of yourself as an educator, so that you can give really, really great, useful information to potential customers and your existing customers to attract new leads and retain customers really, really well.
Good stuff. Grant?
Yeah, my one piece of advice is to really think about who the influencers are in your marketplace, whether it's be geography or vertical sector. Get to know who they are, use the right software to get to know who they are, interact with them, see what sort of things they're talking about so you can talk about the things that are hot, and see where they're posting to make sure that you're posting in the right places where you're going to get seen by the most people.
Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, mine is just to try and take the next 3 months to surgically break down every aspect of your business as if you were a scientist. Try and fill the gaps and slot it back together as a sort of a coherent jigsaw, and then take it on from there. So that's me. Penny. Your microphone? Have you got your one-liner, Penny? One line to just a one-line takeaway. Just see if I can try and get.
Oh, sorry, John. I'll try again.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
So, see this book, Who Cares Wins, by David Jones of the Havas Group, and in it he says, imagine a world where the people who did the most good made the most money. And I certainly see online that the people who understand the good they're doing and can communicate it well are doing very well. So maybe think about what good you're doing in your business and communicate that better.
Great stuff. Robert.
For me, it's about taking massive action, not sitting on your backside expecting stuff to come to you through the internet. Get out there and talk to people. So chase getting hold of 60 appointments in a 6-week period. That's roughly 2 appointments a day. It will transform your business, meeting people, seeing people, being helped by people, helping people. And my final one-liner is, why should people bother to buy from you when they can buy from the competition? Get that message sorted out, take massive action, and the business will start to follow.
Yeah, I love that 66 strategy. I think it's a great strategy. I'm sure it's not an easy strategy to put in, but I can see how it would really work. Okay, Thomas. Microphone time.
My final tip is to look at Google Plus and consider how you'll sell your knowledge through Google Plus using Google Wallet when that plugin comes over the next few months. Thank you, John.
Brilliant. Right, Michelle says her one-liner is to find ways to collaborate, and that she will be sending some videos later this week. So this has been an interesting experiment, I think, in terms of Google Plus, but we do have the whole thing recorded, and we will make sure that it is edited and put out, and Paul is going to add a load of extra value at the same time. So thanks very much for turning up. Thank you to all the experts, and hopefully we can pull something really quite interesting out of it. I think there was some very interesting content along the way, and I've actually made quite a lot of notes too, which I think somebody thought I was just perhaps writing a little letter to my mum or something, but that was not the case. So thank you very much.